At the most recent Pokemon World Championships, an unprecedented portion of professional players prematurely perished prior to the penultimate day, and I blame this problematic poltergeist. Let's take a step back. New sets are always somewhat of a maze. Hundreds of new cards, uncharted metas, and endless deck building possibilities. So, being released right before the 2025 World Championships, Black Bolt and White Flare had everyone's attention. And despite only being a mini set, it packed more than enough punch with plenty of playables to shake things up. However, two cards absolutely towered above the rest. They weren't just going to have an impact on the meta, they were going to completely engulf it and warp everything around them. This is where all of the coin entity Pokemon problems began. Today, I'm going to run through how these cards absolutely ruined the game, the various ways top players attempted to adapt, the resulting devastating impact on the meta, and then I'll take a little look into where things might go moving forward. First, let's talk about Genesect EX. This Paleozoic pest provides insane consistency for any deck that incorporates metal evolutions. In this case, Gholdengo. Metallic Signal can immediately turn any Nest Ball into two Gholdengo EX, taking pressure off the rest of the deck's setup engine, and easily enabling a turn 2 attack paired with a board completely resistant to disruption. But with great power comes great responsibility. These fast, strong, aggressive options need to come with key weaknesses. For example, after you draw 6 cards with Squawkabilly, it's a sitting duck for the rest of the game with a minuscule 160 HP. Genesect is much beefier with a solid 220, absolutely above the curve for most support Pokemon. Plus, it even has a reasonable attack. However, its primary weakness lies in that hefty 2 retreat cost. If you're caught without preloading an energy onto it, an opponent can easily gust it up, forcing you to find a switching card. Or, if you're item locked by Badoo as well, you'll specifically need a supporter card that can move it. Something like Professor Turo Scenario, Penny, or Kieran. If that Genesect stays trapped in the active for more than a turn, all of that fast consistency and aggression it supplied will completely go to waste as your opponent uses that additional time to set up their own unstoppable board. This game design provides a perfect form of balance where you're rewarded by Genesect's immense power, but simultaneously make yourself vulnerable to realistic counterplay, encouraging you to balance your deck out and include additional answers to these options, thus keeping the overall power level of Gholdengo in check. Wait, who thought that it would be a good idea to print Air Balloon in this same set, completely nullifying what is such a well-balanced Achilles heel? Even worse, Air Balloon is a card that Gholdengo already appreciates and naturally wants to run multiple copies of. Throwing it onto the deck's namesake allows you to rip coin bonus for 2, then retreat into another Gholdengo to double dip on that bonus coin. So yeah, Gholdengo just received an incredible power boost without any real drawback, suddenly skyrocketing to become by far the most popular deck. But things didn't stop here. Now every other deck also needs to adapt to this centralizing threat. The new and improved Gholdengo naturally has favorable matchups into the majority of the meta. In particular, it crushes all 3 of the most popular skill-expressive Stage 2 decks. Dragapult is now shoehorned into running multiple jamming towers just to try and buy a single turn against an Air Balloon Genesect. Grimmsnarl completely loses access to its previous game plan of gusting up energyless Gholdengo and using Badoo while Frostlass chips away, because somebody reprinted an easily searchable non-item way to move out of the active, and Gardevoir can no longer lock up a liability while abusing Screamtail to reach and remove benched threats. I truly believe that Genesect EX is innocent and the primary perpetrator here is Air Balloon. While Genesect does add immense consistency and, to be honest, dumbs down the deck a bit, the improved results would have remained in a reasonably manageable state. You would still need to respect Gholdengo, but the entire game wouldn't be warped around it. Just look at the world's meta share, it's insane. But is this really an issue? I mean, Regidrago held a similar meta share at last year's Worlds and I didn't crash out about that. The thing is, I think Regidrago V-Star was actually a pretty healthy deck. It was incredibly skill expressive and it fostered a meta that neatly adapted to it. Whereas Gholdengo, to put it bluntly, has transformed into a relatively relatively low agency pile that generates extremely deterministic games which often aren't all that skillful. But don't take it from me, take it from the guy who dedicated his life to Gholdengo before it was cool.
Thank you, Tim, for the introduction. And I personally think the combination of Genesect EX and Air Balloon is way too good. You can literally grab a binder, shake 50 cards out of it and make a Gholdengo deck right now. I personally think Air Balloon should not have been printed alongside Genesect, because I do like Genesect and how it's designed, but Air Balloon is kind of a get-it-all card, which makes it way too strong. Back to you, Tim.
And for that reason, most top-level players really didn't want to gamble their Worlds run on it. Almost every accomplished testing group I talked with went through the exact same process. Initially, they wanted to play a high-agency deck like Guardy, Grimmsnarl, or Dragapult. Then they realized that those decks just struggle a bit too much with Gholdengo. And eventually they accepted defeat and switched over to public enemy #1. I was part of the problem too. Try as I might to find any other deck that worked, I just ended up running Gholdengo. But you'd have to be out of your mind to play such a linear deck into a field where it is simultaneously the most popular option. And this is where the second layer of the problem began to form. Almost every single Gholdengo list at the World Championships included some kind of hard answer to the mirror. Fundamentally, there are two ways to get an edge when faced against another Gholdengo. Either take the first knockout while maintaining a full 1 prize board state in order to prevent your opponent's 2/2/2 prize map, or alternatively, force the first KO and then find some other way to cheat an additional prize later. This first method was most commonly enabled by Baby Gholdengo, often paired with a single Ultra Ball, which was required to strike it rich without benching Genesect EX. Another adaptation of this involved playing a package of Secret Box and Fan Rotom to consistently attack with a 1 prize board while going second. The other means of gaining an edge in the mirror, by stealing an extra prize, had a whole host of enablers. My personal choice, and in my opinion still the most fun option, was Dusknoir. But there was also Chansey with Redeemable Ticket, Sterilege with Briar, and the highest placing tech, Togekiss. This isn't even mentioning some of the less conventional takes that some people went for, like straight up slapping a Cornerstone Ogerpon in the deck as a wall, or shuffling in half a Joltik box list, which actually ended up winning the senior division. These rapid evolutions of the deck ended up sparking the self-cannibalization of Gholdengo. Everyone sacrificed so much precious deck space just to be able to keep their head above water in a sea of mirror matches. To quote The Incredibles, when everyone's super, no one will be. And with everyone teching so hard for other Gholdengos, we were back to square one with an incredibly deterministic Ditto. Due to the lack of disruption and linear nature of the deck, you could basically figure out the eventual winner with 98% accuracy after each player's first turn of the game. And this extended to many other matchups as well. Both Eevees and Raging Bolt functionally boiled down to whoever went first. And Dragapult felt near unlosable as long as you set up under the initial Badoo. I believe that the dominance of such a straightforward deck acted as the primary catalyst for what led to such an unprecedented underperformance for so many top players. But I don't want to take away from the success of those who did rise to the top. They're all incredible, and there was some genuinely beautiful deck building by the End Zoroark fellas. However, you simply cannot ignore the sheer number of notable players bowing out shockingly early. And I've seen the word variance thrown around a lot in response to this. While it can explain why this happened, it doesn't necessarily excuse it. When playing a deck like Gholdengo, I do often feel much more susceptible to the game's natural variance. Whether that's the starting coin flip, the strength of my opening hand, or just how I draw off of a mid-game Iono. The lack of conventional comeback potential really puts me in a position where the games regularly feel out of my control. For example, let's look at the round that eliminated me from the tournament. With the Dusknoir variant of Gholdengo that I chose to go with, going second into Eevees is functionally a death sentence. It should almost always play out as they take 1, I take 2, they take 2, I take 2, and then they take 3 with Briar. The games are incredibly deterministic, and assuming we both have at least average openers without any terrible prizing, the outcome should just align with the coin flip due to the lack of significant disruption and linear nature of the matchup. In this set, they won the coin flip, so it was functionally over. They take game 1, I take game 2. And despite an egregious misplay from their side in game 3 that opened up a slim opportunity for me to use Dusclops and Dustoir on my 3rd turn, skipping forward in the prize race and attempting to take 4 in a single turn, my final 2 prizes were both superior energy retrieval. It just wasn't meant to be. Variance. What can you do? But to be honest, I never should have been allowed to make it to that position anyway. It was only off the back of one of their misplays. Obviously, it can happen with any deck, but my main point is just how predetermined and out of control so many of these matches felt so early into the game. I just really miss capitalizing on opponents' mistakes and stealing a game as Grimmsnarl through intricate lines and well-timed disruption. But you know what? There is a healthy lesson that I've learned from this tournament. Rather than just accepting a low agency deck and blaming variance when things don't go my way, I can simply take a step back and choose to not play a deck that is so susceptible to it. After the dust settled, despite the overall results depicting them as slightly questionable plays, both converting negatively into day 2, Gardevoir and Dragapult did each make it all the way to the finals. Both decks with incredibly high skill ceilings. And in hindsight, I really wish that I'd spent more time revisiting N Zoroark after NAIC, or some other high agency deck that can gracefully handle Gholdengo without a heavy reliance on winning the coin flip or some other aspect that's completely out of my control. I really did love Marco's inclusion of a 2-1 Toadstool line, paired with multiple Super Rod and TM Evos to easily re-establish it if it's ever targeted down, as well as Mateusz's different take on the problem, leaning on Cornerstone Ogerpon backed by TM Turbo Energized to quickly and efficiently get it online. I am really interested to see how the first regionals of the new season turns out. I want to see more of this kind of innovation, and genuinely hope the meta evolves past this horde of coin enjoyers. But what if you want to be part of the problem? Well, I've just dropped a masterclass on my personal favorite way to play the Golden Menace, the deck I personally ran at Worlds, Gholdengo Dustoir. It may not have gotten the best results, but it is by far the most fun way to play Gholdengo. Check it out now by becoming a YouTube channel member or over on my Patreon. Thanks, fellas. Sorry I had to take a tiny pause on the content since getting back from Worlds, but I'm back now and full of so many fresh ideas. As always, thanks to everyone for the support, and I'll catch you in the next one.